So this is the answer. So we make it so tough on the farmer. We make it so tough on the dollar. We make it so tough on regenerative ag. We make it so tough with regulation and property tax that this automatically folds. Something very weird, very disturbing is taking place. Even though we support this administration, I think of when Bongino came out and made a very big announcement yesterday about what he's looking into, what he's investigating, what him and Patel and FBI is working on. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I want to find truth about some of those details. But when it comes down to it, all the stuff that we were promised, all these files that's going to be dropped, all these files that are going to be released, have yet to actually put someone in jail or prison that has committed fraud. We keep hearing, we're going to investigate all this stuff and we're going to lock them up. And nothing happens. We'll discuss what Bongino says and my reaction to it and how I'm a little upset with the way things have gone when it comes to the FBI. We'll talk about that. Also, we'll discuss our food. You know, we've been talking about our food lately because I want to bring awareness to things about our food. You know, the things you've pushed against for so long, you were like, no, I'm never going to get that. I will not get it. Well, now your food's getting it, and I know you hear that. But the fact is, it does not have to actually be labeled. So you're not taking it in this way, but you may be taking it in this way, through digestion. New story will blow your mind. That's what it's all about, interpreting. All these crazy interpretations. Truthfully, let's go back to a easier way of understanding so that way we're not getting bamboozled. And then lastly, we're going to talk again about WorldCoin. Same way. We've pushed against digital currency and the whole time you're embracing it without you really knowing it. You'll hear from what BlackRock leaders say and also some of the other big players in the tech market. You are literally embracing it, and my warning to you is to stay away from it. Let's dive into these stories and a few more. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here today. I tell you what, it's nasty outside. I know you heard it raining yesterday. There was a major storm that come through the night. We had some damage on farm. We'll be showing that damage on the vlog channel, talking about some of the things that we've done. It's still raining here today. We have had a lot of rain, and don't get me wrong, that's good because we had a good hay season. You saw my last vlog. We've started off with a good hay season, and our gardens are looking great. But with a lot of rain and a lot of problems comes issues, and we had some issues on farm. So go check out that vlog that will be released today as well. Now let's jump into the content of today. Now first, let's talk about Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino comes out and he makes an announcement that he is going to investigate the pipe bomb situation from J6. He's also going to investigate the drug and paraphernalia and things that were found in the White House during the Biden administration, and a few more. He names off a few more things. All right, two things. Personally, I'm tired of the talk. I'm really, truly tired of the talk. I respected Patel and Bongino, not so much the AG. I've never really been mesmerized by her, even when she was in Florida. I think she let a lot of things slip under the last time with Epstein in Florida. But the thing that I don't understand is, I know people are like, well, it doesn't matter. I mean, they're just over a ship that hates them. Okay. Then go to social media and go in front of the news media and expose these things as the FBI leaders. But they've yet to do that. Another thing, we've heard that they're going to expose this and just give them time. Again, let's go back and state this for the record. Jim Comey did announcements to where it probably ruined Hillary's chances. Why are we not seeing the same thing from Patel and Bongino? At least come out with it. At least come out with something that you have found. Not only that, you know, the files that's been on Pam Bondi's desk, and you know the fact that Bongino and Patel really became a sellout, I think, in this last interview about Epstein. The thing to understand is, again, they've already admitted to thousands of files, thousands of dangerous, illegal things. Have you seen one person arrested yet? You know the reason I don't think you're going to ever see truly arrest in the Epstein and Diddy and all these other exposures with the CIA? I believe it's because that allows the government to blackmail these same people. I believe it's all part of the whole scheme that says, you know, if we expose it and it comes out in the open, it may embarrass some. Yeah, we may have to throw some in prison, but really we need the insider information that they have, and that gives them the confidant and the informants all in these inner circles. Financials, you know, if it be famous, if it be in the VIP sections, I think a lot of times you don't see the exposing, because if they start exposing, first of all, probably a lot of their friends would be going to jail and prison. But I also believe it hurts them because they're getting the inner information from these players. And by them having that blackmail, it allows them to basically be in power. I think if they expose it, they're no longer in power. So I actually think this is very weird and disturbing that these things have not come out yet. And I think the second part of this is, yes, you want to find out about the situation with the paraphernalia in the White House. Yes, you want to figure out that it's probably Kamala's or Hunter's or Joe's or whomever. Who cares? Yes, you want to find out about the pipe bomb. Well, pretty much O'Keefe has exposed that. Isn't it funny that a journalist like O'Keefe has been the only one that's given us information on the Epstein situation, on the inner White House workings of the J6 and all that? Do you realize you get how he's getting that information? That means someone is not trusting into the government. Someone really high up that got the same pictures, the same information from the government and leaked it to them. What that shows is they don't even trust their own government to actually be forthcoming with the truth. So when we get the information of what the kitchen looks like on the island of Epstein, or we see the information of Diddy, or we see the information of the J6, what that means is the same information that O'Keefe got, even more detail Bongino and Patel and Bondi got. And because the lack of leadership from whoever what the source was to actually releasing it, it's getting dropped and falling by the wayside. So they're willing to leak it and lose their job to a journalist, so that way at least gets out, because they believe that the chain of command in the FBI wouldn't allow it to get out. So when we hear that Bongino and all of them are going to start investigating J6 and paraphernalia situations and the pipe bomb situation, it's like, who cares? I mean, we're never going to know the truth. I mean, the Kennedy situation was a nothing burger. And by the time we hear about all these other files, they're going to be so redacted we won't know anything. So I'm just kind of over it. You know, we've been promised a lot, but it shows the power of even, I think of, like we said yesterday, Elon Musk and Trump, the most powerful, which is Trump, and the most richest, which is Elon, both cannot get things codified because of the government. They both cannot get stuff done. Even though they're the most powerful and the most rich, they cannot get stuff done because our bureaucracy has gotten too big and it's too powerful. Same way with Cash and Bongino. They may be fine guys. They may be wanting to do well. I think a lot of congressmen go to Washington wanting to desire to do well for their people. But the swamp just takes them in. It's kind of like quicksand. It's either if you keep fighting against it, you're just going to go deeper. If you quit fighting it, you'll just stay kind of stagnant where you're at. You're still caught in the quicksand, but at least you're not going to die in it. I think that's exactly what DC is. I think it's a political swamp. And everybody up there is selfish, narcissist, or completely evil. So I don't believe we'll ever hear truth of things. And when we hear this push of, oh, we're going to find this information. Well, you never found this information, and you're trying to dangle this in front of us so we'll forget about this. I'm over it. That's just me personally. So give me your thoughts on that. Am I wrong to think that about Bongino and Patel? Should we keep on giving them a shot? Again, I think if you're worried about your chain of command, you're worried about the rest of people hating you, just come out and do a news interview like Comey did and just expose it. I think then all of a sudden people are going to have to talk about it. It's no longer, uh-oh. And guess what? You do know Patel and Bongino could do the same thing. They could actually leak this stuff straight to O'Keefe the same way. And all of a sudden, no harm, no foul, they get all the things exposed, and then they could come back and actually say, yep, that was us. See, that's what we're missing. We're missing truth behind all this. I believe there's still a lot of cascading, a lot of smoke and mirrors, even in this administration. Not because I believe this administration is bad. I just believe that the bureaucracy class and the establishment is so strong that even with some of the great players that may be up there, it's almost still too impossible to actually get to the bottom of some of these situations. Give me your thoughts on that. Let's go with our food. There's two reports from our food. One deals with meat, but also one deals with salads and lettuces and things like this. Now, we've heard the story that there's going to be a lot of the stuff that was going in here, going into our lettuces, going into our leafy greens. We've heard that. I want you to, this really takes the next level. Listen to this statement. Listen to this statement. This is from Natural News. It says, unlabeled GMO salads, greens are now coming to a grocery store near you. It says an agricultural biotech company called Pairwise has created a new GMO-modified salad green that is called Conscious Greens Purple Power Baby Greens Blend, the first CRISPR-edited food available for consumers, not in the UK, not in Canada, not in Mexico. Well, it's in all those places too, but this is actually for America. CRISPR, which stands for the Clustered Regulatory Interspaced Short Palindromic Repeat. Now that's all a mouthful, that's why they call it CRISPR. Was just used to edit the DNA of mustard greens, removing the key gene that gives it its pungent flavor. So now they could take this flavoring, they could take different parts of that gene editing and manipulate it to where it tastes better, where it defends against bugs, where it literally comes in and plays God with our crops. And guess what? Here's the worst part of this. It does not have to actually be labeled that, because they found loopholes to get around the things like this. It's kind of the same situation with milk and meat. Well, we say that we're drinking milk, but it may be soy milk or almond milk. That's not milk. It's actually just hydrogenated oil along with a bunch of sweetness and a bunch of preservatives to make some kind of random quality quote-unquote milk. So same things happen with meat. You heard the steak situation yesterday, how they were going to use and make beef, chicken, basically out of petri dishes, and they can get beyond the labeling by basically saying, well, it's beyond meat, but actually it is true sustainable beef. They'll call it sustainable beef. Well, you're thinking, oh, that's healthy, regenerative ag. No, it's because they're using the terminology to make you think it's something else, but truthfully, it's just gene-edited garbage. Now, when people are like, oh, Kobe, you're looking at this the wrong way. This allows us to feed people. Just like you said yesterday, there could be a famine. I mean, we have to have food. Just like the next story you're talking about cattle shortage. That means beef is shortage. We need GMO-modified food. Look back at history. When did we start seeing more health problems? When some of this stuff started coming out. What did I say yesterday? God cannot be mocked. We're all failures and sinners. I understand that. But what I'm saying is this. When we try to be the God of the universe and try to do things on our own, this is little g now, we try to make do with what God has given us. We try to replicate. We try to change the DNA. We try to manipulate. Well, I think once we find out really what this is once we start playing and modifying things and engineering things, we realize it actually makes us more unhealthy. So the more that we're eating this yielded food, the more that we're eating this food that's all of a sudden producing great and tastes great, really we're finding out it's actually making us sick. The same people that's modifying it is also making the medicines that's supposedly healing you. Now, I feel like we're, again, beating the dead horse. But now we've gotten to a point where those things that we were worried about are now in our food system, and they don't even have to be labeled anymore. Think about that now. So you could be eating stuff that you never thought was bioengineered, that now is bioengineered, and you wonder about your health. You wonder about eating a healthy salad. It's good for us. I mean, we're trying to eat healthy. And then all of a sudden we realize, well, it's an unlabeled GMO product. And we think it tastes good, but actually what it is, we're eating some kind of fake DNA food that's supposedly healthy for us. And again, I go back to the fact of when we realize that when we try to say that God didn't do it right and that we have it right, I believe we've made a bad mistake. Now, what's our solution? Do you realize you can grow lettuce, leafy greens, all this stuff? I've got a playlist of it. Excuse the rain, I know it's loud, guys, but we have leafy greens that you can grow in containers indoors. Don't tell me you can't grow your own lettuce, you can't grow your own leafy greens. You can grow it all, especially when it comes to those kind of things. Seeds for lettuce are literally less than $1 sometimes, depending on how many you're buying. That will grow you enough lettuce for all year. Same way with mustard greens, turnip greens, spinach, whatever you want to grow, radishes. Those things can be grown and actually give you the best quality health, and you can grow them indoors, on your porches, in little raised beds. Do not look for everyone else to solve the problem with the food shortages. You have to be your own food provider. And this is an easy one, leafy greens, because now what you just saw with leafy greens, they're not even having to be told that they're actually DNA modified foods. And while you're thinking you're eating healthy, you're actually eating modification and engineered food that you swore that you would never eat, especially because they had this in it and you're taking it in hook, line, and sinker. I want you to listen to this other story about food. Cattle shortages. Now, we've brought this up before, but I want to bring this up even more because this is what's important. It's not the fact that just cattle is the shortage. It's the fact that what are they doing to the farmer because of the cattle shortage? Well, they're pretty much taking away the opportunity to raise their own food and then also help other people get food straight from the farm. Not only that, if farmers cannot make it because of the cost of raising cattle, what happens to their land? Their land is no longer making money for them, so then therefore they start selling land. They start not farming the land, so it's not making money, so then therefore they start losing the land. Let's go to this story. 5th generation cattle farmer Steve Lucci was interviewed by Fox. He says, I think at this point we should be all in on knowing what's happening. We have the lowest beef herd since 1950, which makes the cost go up exponentially. And he said what it is so many people have gotten out of the industry, and not only that, so many people have gotten away from true farming practices. And so they said, well, we'll just pass it along. Well, their generations are not wanting anymore. People are not wanting to become farmers. People are not wanting to raise their own food. People are not wanting to help their neighbors. And so what he's saying is, as a 5th generation farmer, what we're seeing is a lack of care for farming. We're starting to see basically a penalty or tax from governments, because what we've seen is, if we're landowners, even though we don't have tons of assets, they want to tax us and overtax us because of property, because people want our land for other things, and to push against the narrative of raising cattle. He said, and then on top of that, because we've been in such a shortage, it just made the prices go where people can't afford it, so then therefore they've started engineering new forms of meat, i.e. what we talked about yesterday. 500 tons of steak is being produced monthly that is 3D printed and sent to countries all over the world, including America. So he says now we're competing against what we consider fake meat that they call themselves sustainable meat, and he said it's for half the price. He said, now I'm not becoming rich off raising cattle. He said, I'm here 7 days a week working 24 hours a day. I mean, look, I'll be honest with you, go watch my vlog. I'm up at 4 a.m. in the mornings dealing with cattle, dealing with sheep all night, I mean, it's just it's a rat race. So people are saying, I don't want that. I want ease of access. So that's how I think we're going to easily take in the things like the lettuce that's been modified. I think that's why people are going to embrace the steaks, because they can say, okay, well, I don't want to pay $16, $18 for a steak, which is still stupid crazy, but I'd rather pay $4 or $5, and it's sustainably raised. It's in a petri dish. Who cares? It tastes good. It's kind of like the difference in butter and margarine. Butter is better for you. It's better quality. It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't cause your cholesterol issues. It's natural. So then we still buy margarine instead because it's easier to spread. It's made up of hydrogenated oil, of byproducts of fuel that you put in your car. And we realize how unhealthy it is and how much it raises cholesterol, and people are still buying it day in and day out. We realize how important it is to buy a piece of beef from a cattle farmer, but it's like, no, I don't want to, even though I know that's sustainably raised, even though I know that costs me a little bit more, even though I know that's from one beef herd, one steer. No, I'd rather just go to McDonald's and eat 1,300 DNAs. We talked about this yesterday. 1,300 DNAs in an average quarter pounder. So we know the right answers, but see, it takes work and responsibility and desire to say we're going to go against it. And so what this farmer is saying is, look, I'm raising the alarm. We're seeing herds that we have not seen since 1950. And because the narrative has been pushed against the cattle, and the farmer can't afford his taxes anymore, and the farmer can't afford to feed his animals anymore, you're seeing the deterioration not only of the farmer, but of cattle in general. It's just like the last story when we talk about this money coming up. It does not take the government's banning cattle. It takes the government's finding loopholes. And it takes bureaucracies finding loopholes to cause you not to be a cattle farmer anymore. You know how how you say, I'm not going to take this. I'm not going to take this in my arm. But you're taking it because you're willing to see the loopholes that they've used to get around it, to put in your salad. See, that's how this works. We're being overly manipulated, all because of loopholes and leeways by lobbyists and congressmen that allows it to take place. While they're telling you one thing, they're allowing other things to happen. And hey, you're just eating that lettuce for good salad. You're drinking that milk for goodness because it's cheaper than dairy milk. You're eating that 3D printed steak because it's cheaper and it tastes the same. You're eating that margarine instead of butter. You're eating fast food because you know it's been approved by the USDA to be sent to you and given to you and sold to you. All the while, now, you're starting to see the problem where, just like yesterday, famine is coming because we have hurt our lands by destroying the microbes, by not allowing regenerative ag like cows and chickens and sheep to go across our lands to heal it, like the days of the buffalo. So then now we're processing every bit of our food. The lettuce and the cattle that we just talked about that are now feeding you is not processed on a farm. Not even processed in a CAFO, which is terrible, but it's literally processed in a Petri dish, given all this quote-unquote nutrients and all this new technology to you, and you have no idea. Because of labeling and misrepresentations and loopholes, you have no idea what you're actually eating. And what you're doing is actually putting something in your body, to go back and what I say, when you go back and look at what GMO did, you start realizing people started getting a lot sicker then when they started adding that stuff to the foods. I wonder what that means. Maybe we should clean up our diets and be responsible and grow, or either find someone who's growing for us. And the biggest kickback I get is, look, I live in the city, I can't grow a cow. You can't, but you can support an abattoir. You can support some kind of agriculture. Look, I went to Baton Rouge yesterday. We went to the zoo. We took the kids to the zoo. Baton Rouge is about 2.5 hours from me. Baton Rouge is it is in the middle of city, middle of urban living, and this zoo is not in the best place. We go to it, we have a great time. Guess what we did not do? We did not eat at the zoo. We brought our own food in. We picnicked. Of course, makes memories, but not only that, is we're not going to buy into the system of this cheap, crappy food. Also, we went on the outskirts of Baton Rouge when we were heading home, and there was this little butcher shop. It's called an abattoir, and it said this was so-and-so's abattoir. Come here for quality meats. And we're talking, it was 15 minutes away. So someone from Baton Rouge would have to bypass probably Walmart, Kroger, and Publix, and any other little fast food place to go to this abattoir. But for responsible people, they could have went to this abattoir and probably got way better quality meat from this butcher than the junk that they passed up. So don't say you can't. It's just you have to be responsible and start doing some things on your own. Now, my goal for you is not to become a major homesteader and live sustainable forever and practice all the regenerative ag, and that you should go buy land and make sure that you're raising all your own food and become Amish. That would be great, by the way. That would be awesome if you want to do that. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying be responsible. Understand that the loopholes of even down to your vegan lettuces to your meats in the store are all being manipulated. This farmer said, if we do not get our herds up, there's no point in them outlawing farming and cattle. It's going to automatically happen, and you're not going to have cattle, or you're not going to have the farmer to raise the cattle because of the crazy law, the regulations, the taxes, and the way that we have made it hard for farmers. See, that's what you don't understand. It doesn't take them making legal policy. It just takes them making it hard for the farmer to grow the food, so then therefore it automatically falls back to the engineered garbage that's coming from the manufacturers and big ag, and not true farmers. They didn't have to outlaw farming, did they? All they had to do was make it tough to then make everybody push towards the ease of access of food and the cheaper options, which is GMO quality food, bioengineered food. It's happening right before your eyes, and you don't even realize it. Now, last story, let's talk about with money. We're going to mention two things in this story. What BlackRock, Larry Fink just said, and also what we pushed against. Again, fully against CBDC, but we're embracing it. This is a story from Cointelegraph. It says, if the world's biometric ID is so bad, and it's a threat to sovereignty, why is so many embracing crypto? The crypto industry is no stranger to controversy. Yet a few projects have drawn more scrutiny than Sam Altman's, which is OpenAI's leader, that's already built his own doomsday bunker, who's already said that his technology in AI has been manipulative and has learned how to lie. But everybody pushed against his WorldCoin, his CBDC. All the while, we're embracing his AI and also embracing other cryptos that is literally the form of WorldCoin. Listen to this. Promising to verify human uniqueness through iris scans and distributing coins globally, the world pushed against WorldCoin. However, now we go to crypto apps and digitized platforms, including the simple things like PayPal, and they get your driver's license, the front and back. They get your real ID. They get you biometrics because your phone system is already using the passcodes, which is getting your eye, your face, and your fingerprint. So while you're saying, I'm not embracing the WorldCoin, you just embraced it by buying these apps that allowed the access to those things and biometrics in your phone. You're like, Colby, you're just rehashing something you already talked about. No, here's where you're wrong. Listen to this. Digital privacy is no more. You have no more privacy. And the more that you see crypto and Bitcoin scooting up, and the fact that debt is going absolutely crazy, and even the Trump administration embracing crypto, embracing digital assets, you're seeing the fact that decentralization, which is what crypto and Bitcoin was, is now becoming more centralized than ever. So you've already given your access of that decentralized token all the access they needed to your biometrics. Now the biggest players in the world are investing in crypto, including the biggest governments in the world, including the 3 biggest banks in America have invested in tokens and stable coins. So while you pushed against WorldCoin, while you pushed against biometrics, while you pushed against the scary thing about getting your open eye scanned, you've already gave all that information away without you actually knowing it because of this device right here. Here's what's so crazy. Listen to what BlackRock just said. Now BlackRock just bought about 430 million Bitcoin just the last 2 days. But I want you to listen to what he said. He says substituting humans for machines is going to be far easier in those countries that are in declining populations and countries that tend to be in worse shape financially. Now, Colby, what does that have to do with taking in WorldCoin and taking in tokenization? Because he just said the quiet parts out loud. He just said this. The way that we can basically take from humans, let's go back to the story with the meat and vegetables. When things become so expensive, when things become so in decline, meaning our average way of living, meaning it's hard to buy a home now, it's hard to buy an automobile now, it's hard to stay out of debt now because everything's so expensive. It's hard to buy good quality foods because it's so expensive. We tend to fall back on the ease of access. He said that's how we're going to get people hooked on digitized currencies. When we tell people cash is dirty and no place is taking it. When we tell you, credit cards are costing 3 or 4%, we don't want to utilize that. When we think about all the stuff like the banks and you can't access your money at 8 o'clock at 9 o'clock at night like you can a crypto exchange because the banks are closed. When we tell you the stock market is so volatile. I mean, my gosh, it goes up and down, so you need to invest in Bitcoin because right now it's going up. It's doing great. You see how they make it almost impossible to embrace banking. How they make it almost impossible to embrace the stock market. How they make it almost very impossible to embrace cash. Again, they're getting rid of coins this year. And when everybody tells you that the best way forward is digitized currency, the best way forward is using AI technology for convenience and effort, while you're pushing against it, you're accepting it hook, line, and sinker because different practices you're already doing. What you're doing is you've given access to decentralized apps or decentralized thought patterns to then turn around and buying into the decentralization to make it centralized. Think about this for a second. If you remember, there was a time where you would have never heard a bank say we're going to embrace a non-banking asset like crypto or Bitcoin. There was times just 10 years ago, 5 years ago, where people thought that was absolutely crazy. To now we have our president completely involved in crypto. We have a crypto czar. We have our Treasury Department who believes in gold and cash, supposedly, is telling you that they're moving towards digitized assets. Now, is this a push against Trump? No. Listen to what Trump, and listen to actually what Doug Burgum said, Energy Secretary. He said, the war is now moved to AI and digitized currency. Whoever wins the war on AI and digitized currency actually wins the world. So what he's saying is this. It may be an evil, but we better be in control of that evil, or someone else will. Now, what does that mean? China's already doing digitized scanning. Most of Asian countries are already scanning. Most of the Middle East, Abu Dhabi, some of these bigger countries, India, have embraced biometrics and digitized forms of currency. There was an interview done with India that they said they actually collapsed a lot of their dollars to then turn around and push more people to digitized assets. You don't believe that's going to happen here? There was the stories all last week about how our dollar is failing. Our dollar is not actually failing. The speculation of our dollar is failing, so therefore everybody's moving towards tokenization. When everybody moves towards tokenization, it makes our dollar fall. Do you realize that? It's like saying this. I have 2 restaurants. If all of a sudden I start a rumor that this restaurant has hair in their food and no one practices good health hygiene and people drop food and have roaches all over the food, it didn't matter how true that was. What did it do? It makes everybody go to this restaurant because it seems cleaner at that point. By everybody going to this restaurant, That means this restaurant is actually struggling, so then therefore they may not can have the best capabilities of food sanitation. They may not be able to actually make it. It may close down the store. It didn't mean that those rumors were untrue or true. All it took was speculation of this store to realize that this store was better. And then when this item closes, the only option you have is this store, no matter if it's good or bad. I think that's what's happening with the dollar and with our cattle and with our salads, our healthy stuff. We're making it real bad right here. We're starting rumors that this dollar's failing. This beef is bad for you. This lettuce can't be grown because it tastes bad, so we need to modify. So this is the answer. So we make it so tough on the farmer. We make it so tough on the dollar. We make it so tough on regenerative ag. We make it so tough with regulation and property tax that this automatically folds. And the only thing left is this. World coin, tokenization. This food system. Oh, well, fake meat, fake milk, and fake, genetically modified lettuce. It's no longer about, well, this got closed because the government regulated closed. No, all it did was use its powers and loopholes to make this shine. Let's go back to the Bongino story. This is what we want to know. The files. This is what we want to know, the exposures, the rest, all the stuff. But if we tell you this is not real and this is all fake news and yeah, we thought it was something, but it's really not, but this is what we really want to work towards, then this right here goes away. And this is what our eyes are focused on. When I say things are weird and disturbing, they are. When I say that we should be paying attention to certain things, it's because we should. But the bottom line is, it comes down to this. No matter who's in charge, no matter what goes on, the truth is, you better focus on protecting your family. And what that means is prepping, understanding where your food truly comes from, reading where your food is coming from, understanding what real money is, and not allowing people to sway your thought pattern. The reason I get on here and talk every day is because I want to convince you to grow your own food. I want to convince you to support the farmer. I want to convince you to stay with cash. Now, is that my personal opinion? Yes, but that's what true freedom looks like, not what is shining over here. Pay attention to these stories. My goal is not to make you fear, it's to make you aware. And that's what matters. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless.